Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to In the Corners. This is the 14th episode.
That's right.
Yes, we got a little bit of information on just one game that happened over the last weekend. And if you stay tuned for this episode, we're going to go over my top five most important Vikes players for the next 3 months.
Whoa!
Yep, going into the playoffs. And then Matt is going to give you the top five Bcihl players for the next couple of months going into the playoffs. But before we get into that, how are you doing, Matt?
Hey, Rhys. Glad to be here. We're living in the land of overtime
Yes,
in the UVic zone.
that's true.
It's a good day here, man. I got to admit, I'm having a holiday kind of hangover, I'm spiritually, financially, emotionally spent from the holidays, but I'm hanging in there.
Me too.
Good job for the players playing hard but spring in Victoria, it's coming up quick.
It's coming.
It's coming. So
Yes.
it's just like a 5-on-3 right now. You just got to put your head down and just like, we're going to win this. It's going to be all right.
Yes, exactly.
Right in the corners as we do.
In the corners, you got to go hard.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm very excited to get into this game. It was a great effort by the Vikes. Obviously, not the result they were looking for, but we'll get into that. But I'm excited just for the rest of the season. I think it's going to be a good, entertaining. Closer than the standings suggest. Rest of the season. I think the Lakers and the Vikes are going to be fighting for that third place spot. So we'll see who ends up where. But I mean, once the playoffs come, anything can happen, right? So that'll be super exciting. But let's get into that first game. I'm sure the fans at home are going to be looking to hear a little bit of a analysis of that OT win for the Mariners. So it was a 5-4 win in overtime, and we'll kind of go goal for goal here and talk about the momentum switch that was apparent in the third period. So yeah.
Well, the Mariners, they tied up the season series 2 apiece. Remember, before Christmas, the Vikes got 2 off of them. Now the Mariners got these 2, but the Vikes get that 1 overtime point, which counts for something if there's not many games in this league, right? Every point counts. Look at the Lakers. They got 4 overtime points, right?
Yep.
So the Vikes hung in there and did a good job. They were down 4-1 in the game, though.
Yep, they were.
Right?
Yeah, so it starts off, it goes 3-0. Or no, it actually goes 2-0 VIU. Goal from Rouser. I think Palmer got the first one, and he was assisted by Rouser and Adam Morton. Again, Adam Morton, great player. We like him on the show. Here at the show. Yeah, and a goal for Rouser. That was 2-0. I think he was unassisted there. And then the Vikes get 1 back. I'm not sure who scored that. Do you know who scored the one for the Vikes, the first one?
Yeah, it's Braun, 8th goal of the year.
Beautiful. Very, we love to see that. Riley Braun getting in there, getting his offensive feet.
Also, Aiden Morrison picked up his first point. Shout out to Aiden Morrison, the defenseman. He got 2 points in this game.
Beautiful. I mean, you love to see that scoring get spread out throughout the lineup. And then Picard gets a goal from Norman. That'll make it 3-1 to VA.
That's the name of a Star Wars guy, isn't it? Or Star Trek?
You know what? I didn't watch
like Captain Picard or something.
I think you got it. I've been watching a little bit of Big Bang Theory. I haven't seen it in my life, so I'm trying to.
Is there a Picard on? Yeah,
I think so. I'm trying to get my my nerd knowledge up. You know what I mean? I got my hockey knowledge up, but I gotta run up my nerd knowledge. But
maybe that's what we'll do in the corner. Star Trek.
Yes. Yeah.
2024.
Big Captain Kirk. Rest in peace, Nimoy. But then after that, I think we're still in the second period here. That'll be 4-1. They make it, and that was Adam Morton power play goal from Dunlop. So it's not looking very good for the Vikes at this point, right? We're looking at a 4-1 deficit. 3-goal deficit, and all their big players are showing up. Dunlop gets another point. Fantastic season he's having, and same with Adam Morton. They get a power play goal, and then we fast forward to the third period, and the Vikes, with 4 minutes left in the third, they tie it up 4-4. Now, who got those 3 goals for the Vikes?
It goes Spears, Eddie. Eddie's a power play goal. Makes it 4-4. Shout out Lucas Thompson, big time broadcast star locally.
Yep.
He's cool. He's good. He made a sick pass to Spears, and Spears went down on kind of a breakaway.
Yep.
Spears was on a mission, though. He had 2 goals right away there. He was dangling.
Ooh, he's getting his hands in there. Good. We like to see
Yeah,
that too.
he was on fire.
Awesome. I mean, I think that's that line, right? That's that freshman line. Spears, Braun, and Nolan, right? Connor Nolan. So, or Noah Kelly, one of the two. So, yeah, that's great. Love to hear that from that young line. But yeah, that takes us right into overtime. Do you know who got the assists on those goals? Does it say?
Yeah, no, I'll just list them. Nolan, Braun, Thompson, Morrison, Gattenby, Spears. So Spears finishes the game, 2 goals and an assist.
Wow, that's very good. And you can hear Gattenby's name getting there. And the fact that Keenan Eddy, he's I think he's either sophomore or he's a vet. Or a senior. And, you love to see that from your higher up guys, especially on the power play. You need your more experienced characters to show up late in the game for games like this. And what did they do? They did right into overtime. So we go into overtime. Do you know what the shots were at that point?
I have the total for the game, but
okay.
Pilon makes 37 saves in this game.
Okay, that's great.
So,
that's good.
And then Kral made 26. The shots were pretty one-sided halfway through the game, but in the second half of the game, as the Vikes got back into the game, they started evening it up. So Pilon made a 6 save in a shorthanded situation halfway through the third period. So, like, the Mariners had their chance to snuff out the rally.
Yep.
But Pilon kept them in there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, all these, very important individuals for this Vikes team all seem to show up in a very important cross-island rivalry game right after the showcase. So you'll love to see that, especially with VIU playing very good in the showcase. UVic did too, but VIU was they're the team of focus. But unfortunately, the Mariners take a W in overtime. It's a goal by Carson Earhart. Obviously not the result the Vikes were looking for, but a complete impressive fight in that third period. And that shows a lot of character. Again, this Vikes team just doesn't want to be kind of left in the dust just based on how good VIU and SFU have been playing. So the fact that they're able to get these, little bit of a statement, you're down 4-1. You expect it to just keep shooting up and score, but no, they tie it right up and they bring it to overtime, probably putting them right on their back heels, right? So, yeah, good win for the Mariners. Obviously, they deserve the win, but amazing effort for the Vikes there.
Yeah, this Vikes season, we take a look at all the teams in the league. We try and hold our Vikes bias at bay as much as we can. Although we're on the Vikes team, we can't help it.
Right.
But you're right, the Mariners, that win streak continues. The Vikes season now has a bit of everything in it. Some blowout wins, a blowout loss, an overtime win, an overtime loss, some close games, a bit of ups and downs, and now they have this comeback thing. That's a nice thing to add to their tool belt so that they know they can come back in these games, because we hadn't really seen that. They tried to come back on the Mariners in the showcase, but it fell short. So good for the Vikes to kind of build up that muscle of, hey, we're down 3 goals. We're still in it.
You love to see that. And that's an interesting point. They kind of have experienced almost every ebbs and flow of a hockey team, right? They've kind of dealt with it all. And I didn't really think about it until you pointed it out there. So great point there. And the comeback is the one that you really want to be right at the beginning. Even if it is a loss, you want that comeback to be right at the beginning of the second semester, so you can kind of use that as a lesson. Like, hey guys, say if we get, the Vikes get into a position where they're down, another decent deficit after the second period, they can say, well, look what we did to the second place team in the league, right? So kind of give you that hope no matter what, no matter which situation you're in. So to see that.
I'm inspired by teams that can make a comeback. You see that in baseball sometimes, like the team that has the most comeback wins, it just bodes well going into a series, into a playoff run.
Absolutely.
The Raptors, when they won, things like, you keep an eye out for how many times can they come back in a game. And the teams that are resilient or whatever, they're really exciting. And the Vikes have it in them.
I hate to admit this as a Habs fan, but a great example right now in the NHL is the Boston Bruins. They are
Right.
just a team that, they keep mentioning it. It doesn't matter what the score is. They always know they can come back. They always know they have it. Like they don't check out of games. You can see with teams that check out of games. See with the Habs, they checked out of the season in the second week. So right. So when you have these and you see such a resilient team, you love to see it.
Yeah.
But
Boston's sick, right?
This is the most, by the way, the best I've ever seen them in my life. I watched them. I was obviously, paying very close attention during the 2011 run because the Habs unfortunately got beat out by them. But I have never seen the Bruins look better than right now. This is something pretty magical. And in 2019, and don't worry, Bcihl fans, we'll take it away from the NHL talk quickly. In 2019, the Tampa Bay Lightning had a record season. I think they were like 62-19-4 or something like that. If I got that right, by the way. That is crazy, but
that's a Star Trek moment,
right? Yeah, that's a Star Trek moment. And they played that well. They go into the playoffs. They lose. They got swept by the wild card team in Columbus that year. So if you look at that, if you look at the most successful seasons, regular seasons in NHL history, Boston's like number 8 right now, just based on the pace that they are. So
amazing.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows if they can keep that pace, but.
Well, the Vikes in 2017, they finished 9-14 or something in the regular season, well below 500.
Right.
They got into the playoff. They beat SFU, and then they beat Trinity Western and won the championship. That was just a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
So the comeback kids, that's a really cool thing in sports. I like. I love teams that can do that.
Yeah, the underdog. Everybody loves the underdog, whether it be a movie, whether it be sports, right? And but also it does, with being called an underdog, it's a little bit of a jab. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're not. No one expects them to be good. You know what I mean? So as a team, it feels good to be the underdog, but it's also a little bit demoralizing. Not majorly, because it's in my opinion, I'd rather exceed expectation than to just fit in that expectation. You know what I mean? So SFU, we expect them to be good, right? So if they lose, it's going to be very shocking and it's going to look really bad on them. But with the Vikes, if they win or lose, it's kind of, they're in a position where it's fair. So, but yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode right off the bat. Let's get into our top 5 most impactful players for the rest of the season.
Nice.
Yeah, I am going to start. We can go point for point. So I'll do my number 5 for the Vikes. You do your number 5 for the Bcihl. We'll kind of go up from there, and we'll explain.
Sounds good.
Why. Yeah, we'll explain why. We think that. So right off the bat, I'm going to start it with a great performer in the last game and a great performer in the showcase. Number 5 for me, for most impactful player for the Vikes, is going to have to be Bcihl. So. The reason why I'm picking him is, earlier in the season and obviously earlier in the episodes, you can go back, and my opinions for goaltending was a little bit up in the air. I felt that, based on how Charles Curiston played in the preseason, that he could be a guy that could be a little bit of a dark horse starter for this Vikes team and put off a lot of good performances. But he's a young kid. He's got a long time to develop. So, in the switching up and the kind of testing of each goalie that the Vikes have, and they've got, I think, about 4 signed. Trial and error with those guys. I think the best guy clearly is Bcihl, right? He's kind of shown out, and he's really played really well. So I think if he can continue that pace and he can really hold that starter position in net, I think that's really going to be a difference maker for this Vikes team come playoff time.
Love it. Saying on the similar wavelength, Rhys, my homework I did a little differently than you, but let's keep her going. I'm going to go with SFU goaltending in general. Okay. That's something to watch here. They got Henderson and Dolan. It looks like Dolan is kind of their go-to. He's got 6 games played, Henderson 4. The reason I point out to watch for SFU goalies is kind of what we were talking about. They're winning a bunch of games. They're hanging around, not taking many shots. The games they do play that are close, they're losing to the NCAA teams and to UBC. Right. I just think that they can be had maybe in a short series or in a playoff run because the goalies haven't proven themselves in the same manner. So let's see how that goes. And further to that point, I think the Lakers have the best goaltending in the league. Daniel, Paul, and Jay Thompson, they've definitely had some ups and downs. Yeah. It's just a personal bias of me. But
Right.
how about that? Over to you, Rhys.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. I think that's a good pick. And it's also, it depending on that could definitely change the trajectory of that team. If that goaltending just starts to falter and they kind of get real inconsistent, it could change things very quick. Because as great as that record is, VIU's right behind them. So
Yeah, they have some people who can shoot too on
yes,
that team, I'd say.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. So these are very important aspects, the goaltending for both the Vikes and SFU. But moving on here, I'm going to go to number 4 for the most impactful players for the Vikes for the second semester. And I'm going to go for a guy who's a little bit off the board a little bit. And I'm going to pick Matthew Hermary. Now, the reason why I'm picking him is because I like his off the puck play. I like how he looks when he's defending. He's great in the forecheck, great in the neutral zone. I think that most of the seniors on this Vikes team are really they're hard workers and they're good in the neutral zone. They try really hard, and you can see a lack of effort with forwards. Coming back, say they lose the puck in the O zone, and coming back and just you can see them kind of disappointed in themselves, which allows a lot of passes and a lot of breakouts to occur right in the neutral zone. But you know what? One thing I like about them is even if the offense doesn't go well, they turn around and they start defending quick and they work really hard. And I think that's a really good thing to see. And Hermary's been through it. He's been on this team for a bit, and yeah, I like his game. I think he's great along the boards. He's tough to play against, and I think having guys like that for this Vikes team is really going to make the difference to allow guys like Braun and guys like Spears to open up offensively so they can kind of carry that two-way load, right? So, yeah, number 4 has got to be Hermary for me.
Exactly. I'm on a similar wavelength again. Going to the Mariners, VIU. If they want to be the one who possesses the biggest challenge to SFU, like if they are those guys, it's their depth scoring. So for Vikes, it's Hermary. For VIU Mariners, it's Ron Wilkie, Norman, Earhart, Franklin, Cherwalk, these players. Yeah, VIU, they got the elite first line. But when you get into a match with SFU or match like soccer, Saskatchewan soccer, once you get into that, your depth lines, the forward to win the championship, they got to be right there. So I'm with you. Hermary, and also for VIU, that second, third line, that zone. Got to be elite to make a run for the championship.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you're definitely right there. Depth scoring is going to be huge, which is
Earhart got the overtime winner just the other day.
I mean, they're a very deep lineup. Every time we're doing commentary for when VIU comes to town, it's a lot of names get yelled out. We're not just yelling the same, Dunlop. No, it's everybody. Everybody gets involved and everybody seems to make a big move, makes big plays individually. So yeah, definitely something to pay attention to with that VIU team. But for me, number 3, we're getting to the more important players for this.
Here we go. Getting hot.
Yep, we're getting a little heated here, and I'm going to go with an absolute heater of a player at number 3, and that is going to be Logan Spears. He's the freshman centerman for the Vikes who had a crazy showing in the league before this. I don't know if it's the AJHL. God, I'm probably screwing that up. I can't remember which league it is.
Rhys, we're going to do some scouting one of these years. I've been checking out the VIJHL. I went to a game over the Panthers, Peninsula Panthers. I checked it out. Hey, I won a bouquet of flowers too with a ticket.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Take that in the Corners, fans. I'm over here winning flowers just for scouting.
Oh, yeah.
I like your pick for Spears too. He can score.
Yes.
Centerman too, right?
Yep, that's right. He's the centerman. He's the centerman in that. Yeah, so you nailed it. It was the Peninsula Panthers in the VIJHL, not the AJHHL. God, there's too many abbreviations here.
Exactly, I'm with you.
Right. So he had the 120 point season in under 50 games with the Peninsula Panthers last year. Him and Braun. Actually, I don't know if he got 120 here. Let me pull it up real quick.
Braun has got his jersey retired there, which is kind of cool. Just like if you go in there on the wall.
I mean, he deserves it. The kid had a crazy showing. Yeah. So he had 103 points. Wow, what a great season. 50 games, 103 points for
Yeah.
Spears, and then 120 points for Braun, both with the Panthers last year. So, when you bring in a player like that, the expectations obviously go up. I mean, they're clearly capable of offense, but I think if this Vikes team wants to make any difference in the playoffs or, for the, remaining regular season games, they need Spears, Braun, and whoever else. Honestly, I'm pointing those two out because they've been showing out the last game, especially. But those two guys got to keep on that offensive pace because if they lose that, I'm not sure who's going to pick up the load. And that's nothing against the other players on this Vikes team. It's just from what we've seen, the depth scoring has not been what has allowed them to win. I think more and more we're seeing that. I think as of late we're seeing more of that, more depth scoring. But they're going to need their stars to their offensive stars to show. And I'd say it's completely fair to say that Spears, Braun, even Nolan are all, offensive stars. So yeah, number 3 for me has got to be Logan Spears.
Right on. Okay, you picked Logan Spears, offensive leader. I'm going to go a bit off the board, go back to the Vikes. I have a kind of a new favorite player for the Vikes right now.
Okay.
In around the team, someone was telling me about this player and said he watched him in the playoffs in the VIJHL, in packed buildings, in those rural areas and those.
Oh, yeah.
And this player was just a force, the best player on the ice. And that's Jackson Egan from the Vikes. All right. We didn't see him much at the start of the year.
Yep.
He was really nice player in the showcase. He took a big hit, got the puck back to DeGo. That led to the overtime winning goal.
Wow.
I went and talked to him. I'm like, did you score in Oregon when you guys were down there? And he kind of looked at me like, I almost scored. He's got a force field of toughness around him, kind of.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he's the kind of player that he just plays kind of pissed off.
Nice.
And that's a handful. Yeah. Like when I was a hockey player a million years ago, it was those kind of players that just drove me crazy because they're stealing the puck from me, hitting me. I was way too slow. Right. So Jackson Egan is a new favorite player for the Vikes. I guess I'm adding him to the list as kind of a watch out for him down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, your number 3 is Jackson Egan. That's great. I love to hear that. A little bit of unexpected individuals with their own, respective skill in their own way. And I love to see that. Honestly, not that this team was missing toughness. I thought everybody could hold their own. I definitely don't think anybody on the Vikes is particularly soft. But it's great to have a guy who's fearful, you know what I mean? Because Dunlop, as good as he is, he's a tough player to play against as well. Right. So if you're going to be facing off against guys like that, you're going to want a guy like Egan, who's capable of some fear. You know what I mean? A little bit of Arbor Jackeye in his game.
Who is that? Is that a wrestler?
He might as well be. He might as well be.
Is that from a video game or something, or what?
No, he's the sheriff of the NHL. He plays for the Habs. He was working.
Ubar Jackman?
Arbor Jackeye.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Jackeye.
Wi-Fi. His nickname's Wi-Fi. There's nicknames also the sheriff. He was the sheriff of the OHL. Nice. Now he's slowly becoming the sheriff of the NHL.
That's cool, hey?
Yeah, hopefully some of the BCIHL can model that. Obviously not getting in fights because I think that's a suspension in this league. I'm pretty sure.
Egan doesn't need to fight. He just goes and gets the puck, and he's not a big in stature, but he just wears people out. And the Vikes get the puck back. I don't know. That's my favorite kind of player.
Win for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So winding down to the last few here, my number 2 for most impactful player for the rest of the season will be, and a little bit of an obvious one, it's going to be Riley Braun. Right following Logan Spears for that second in the most impactful players. And the reason why is because he's just an offensive workhorse. And if you have a guy like that slow down, again, you're going to have to really rely on depth to pick up that load because he's individually, I guess you could say maybe not individually because he's got Spears and he's got other guys, but Braun, what he's doing this season is great. And it's almost exactly what they expected to bring in, going off of that crazy season. Right. So, definitely got to pick him for most. He's got to stay consistent. He's got to keep going. I think he's more than capable of it. I think he's going to be all over the ice, getting all the dangerous areas, creating lots of high danger opportunities. And like I said, if he slows down, then things are going to get real tough for the Vikes.
Yep. Number things to look out for here. I'm looking at the defensive core for the Vikes and the Lakers. These guys are in third and fourth place. Lakers, Vikes, respectively. They're battling it out.
Yep.
If they're going to be for real, it's about their defensive core. All right. So the Oklahoma Lakers, I like to call them Okanagan Lakers, right?
Yep.
See, I got
Oklahoma.
you. Yep. Okanagan Lakers. Gabruk, Gerlib, Taransky, Dahlquist, Little, Kolchard, Dudka, and Wallace. Are they elite defensively to go and beat VIU, right?
Right.
Watch out. And then same thing for the Vikes. Can the Vikes handle these guys? Like, well, the Vikes are going to play SFU right away, right? They're looking good against the Mariners. They're beating the Lakers now.
Yep.
So what's it going to be like against SFU for this defensive core? Gattenby, DeGo, Benger, Von Schomburg, you know the characters I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So I'm just going to say the defensive core for the Lakers and the Vikes, who wants it more in the playoffs to go get the big dogs?
Absolutely. Yep. I like that pick a lot. Very important because SFU clearly doesn't have much to worry about in that area of the ice. So it's all about what these other teams can do to maintain or at least compete a little bit. Yeah. So that brings me to my number one most impactful player. And it's a guy I've been raving about since the very first episode. And he is the captain of the Vikes. It's Dan Gattenby.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You need him to be laying the body like he has been, being strategic with, not taking too many bad penalties, being a good leader for the rest of the D core to follow. Obviously, his offensive capabilities. He's got 15 points in the season in 12 games. I just need him to keep playing the way he's playing. He gets an assist last weekend. He has a great showing in the showcase. So, yeah, we just need him to keep playing the way he is. And in my opinion, I think we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg. I think this guy's going to keep showing out, especially come playoff time. I think when the going gets tough, he's a guy who you can really trust in. It gives me a little bit of a Shea Weber vibe, strong in the back, offensively capable, strong shot. And just overall hard to play against. He's one of the guys that even in some of the games where it's a little bit of a blowout, in the past, he was still there playing hard and making it difficult for as many people that matched up against him. So, yeah, my number one most impactful player has to be the captain, Dan Gattenby.
Love it. Exactly. Yeah, he's the leader of the Vikes, right?
Yep.
Like when you watch him, that leadership, is it apparent to you, Rhys?
I think it's clear.
They go with him, right? I mean, the top lines kind of scores, and you have Hermary on your list, and there's Voss, etc. But he's kind of got the wheel.
Yes,
it's fair to say.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's more of a set by example. I don't see him, maybe he is and we just can't see it, but I don't see him yelling and pointing and trying to direct like that, almost being like a secondary coach, but rather he's just a guy who plays hard and sets by example, makes life easier for the other, for his D partner or for, some of the forwards, knowing that if you got a lot of pressure on you, you can just drop back to a guy like him and he's good enough with the puck to not, put it in a bad position or give it away. Right. So yeah, no, I think his leadership is very apparent with this team, especially this year compared to last year.
Right on. I think that's a good one. Number one player to watch for the Vikes. Absolutely. They'll follow him. Yeah, that's my dog here. Hey, we're getting a new dog today.
Whoa.
We had two dogs forever. Then we went down to one. Now we're going back up on the man advantage. Nice. Adding another dog.
Puppy or a rescue?
The dog is like 2 or 3.
Nice.
So going into the fire and getting a dog.
Is it a girl or boy? What's the name?
The name is London.
Ooh.
But we're going to change it up. I'm thinking I like to keep the same kind of feel. Like I'm thinking Long John or London, like a play,
Yes.
What can I say? I'm a poet. I'm a hockey poet.
Yeah. Hockey poet, country singing, Metallica inspired.
I think Gaddenby is a good first way to end it. I will say, I got to give a shout out to Logan Lake. They got they're having players leave the team. I think I don't know what's going on with them.
Oh,
But we got to give some love to them. They have a tough schedule coming up, as you know. But we'll be watching,
yeah,
and
absolutely. It's an expansion season. They just got to get their feet wet. They can honestly just not win a game all season. It's going to feel bad, but the point is you just want to, feel out what these type of players. I mean, sorry, what these teams are capable of, and what the personnel for the future. Kind of build off that, and I'm sure there's lots of things they can do to try to attract some personnel that will compete with them. Right.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Like the Kamloops area is a sick area to play hockey in. Like the Blazers. Like if you're my age, that was the place, in the Western provinces. So so that's a good area to go and play. But just a shout out to those guys, and we'll be watching for them. And then I think the last storyline is I'm a big fan, like I said, of the Lakers goaltending, Jay Thompson and Daniel Paul.
Yeah,
they pushed SFU to overtime. They have pushed the Mariners to overtime twice. They got 2 wins off of the Vikes, 1 overtime loss. They're really scrappy, and it starts with their goaltending. I think that in a playoff, if they can get their goalies stealing a game, they can go anywhere in the league. So I'll put that in as my player to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a good pick. We hope the best for the Miners. They I think unfortunately for them, the year that they joined was just a highly competitive league this year. Even going off of last year, like if you look at the results of last year and the year before that, it was pretty one-sided. Like you can kind of make assumptions on who was the clear best team and which teams faltered in competition. But it's going to take them a while to kind of get their feet wet, but it's an expansion season. Kind of write this one off, just test things out, try different players in different positions, different matchups, and go from there.
We've been saying that you can't, how do you say this without cursing? You can't diss anybody who stays in the ring a whole round. Yes. That's all the Miners are trying to do. They're trying to stay in the ring for the round.
Yep.
And build from there. They have some players there. They'll text their buddies.
Yep.
Who knows? It might take a couple of years.
Might be next year. You never know. So yeah, as long as they play hard, as long as they're in it, and like you said, staying in the ring, not giving up. So yeah,
I was on a few teams that
we would get bagged. Well, Carlisle, the town I grew up in, we had some good hockey players, no doubt, but all the good ones went to Estevan. That's where the AA and the AAA teams were.
I see.
And then there was a couple of towns like Redverse and Cardiff, the Cardiff Red Devils.
Oh, okay.
The Redverse Rockets.
Right. Yeah, I know.
They had some like 6'3" farm kids who were 12 years old, Yeah. It was a grind, man. And I was just like, I wanted to be a skateboarder. I was slow.
Right.
I just got my ass kicked by those guys.
To the Deftones.
My heart goes out to the Miners because I know what it's like. Look at there was these twins on Redverse that, I mean, they were just like from a movie, 2 twin, 6'5", 12 years old. Oh. Just they didn't talk. They're just like,
oh my gosh.
Nope.
Well,
hey, but I hung in there. I made it to in the corners. That's what I got to show for it.
You're still alive, which is good. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they've got a couple murder with throwing that big body around. Barnes.
Yeah.
So all right,
I could tell you about all those. I could tell you about all those rinks if you want. That would be quite the show.
Yeah, I mean, that's where
tune in for that.
Yeah, we'll have to tune in for that one. What an interesting place. We gotta
do a field piece
in Saskatchewan in the fields.
Oh, dude. We got it. Flin Flon Bombers. We got to check out all these teams. The Paw Wolves.
I would say we could go see Matthew Savoy, but he got drafted. I don't even know if he's still out there. He was in Saskatchewan or somewhere.
Well, of course, all the buzz right now is Bedard is in Regina, right?
Oh, that's right. Right. He's in Regina. Yeah, and he had no interest in leaving. Obviously, they weren't going to trade him, but apparently, like one of the Memorial Cup contending teams I think they just traded for Zellweger from the World Juniors. They were looking to make like a record-breaking trade for Bedard, but I think he opted to be like, nah, I just stay here. Because I'm pretty sure the Regina's not very good. Like they're not doing great in the standings.
Right.
So people expected him to just bounce, but no, I think maybe he just likes it there. Maybe that's the place. And there's a lot of great players that came from the Pats. So many great players that come from the Pats. So hopefully the Royals can start making some NHL talent for the love of God. I mean, nothing against those guys and nothing against the players who did have a short stint in the NHL, but it's just weird. It's like they're cursed. Like really not one player. It's weird.
Well, we got to keep an eye out on the Royals. I think that we got in the corners. We got a bright future in local scouting. Yes. Between me winning flowers wherever I go, I'm checking out the Cougars. And I've got to go see the Grizzlies for sure. And then the Peninsula Panthers. Oceanside Generals, they're really good.
I'm liking these names. These are all very ringy names.
Buddy.
In Niagara Falls, we had some ringy names. Niagara has went through teams over my life. They had the Niagara Rivermen. They were the Niagara Canucks. And then the Junior B team was the Canucks, or always was. And then there's the Southern Tier Admirals and the Welland Canadians, and it just
it just opened up.
So, we're running out of time in our meeting here.
Gonna have to wrap it up. It was
a great episode. Not that much action in the Bcihl, but it was good to go over who we think are going to be the best. So, if there's anything else
you want to leave with them, Matt.
Attack in Black, Welland, awesome punk band. Vikes Mariners this weekend. Have a fun time, guys. Go for it.
Yep. Shout out to City and Color, also from St. Catharines, right near Dallas Green. Shout out to him, great guy. Never met him, but I'm sure he's a great guy.
Put him in a slap shot contest with Gattenby tomorrow. Let's do it.
Let's see it. All right.
See you, pal.
Everyone.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.